Now, friend, I know what you're thinking. Kennedy, haven't you tried to knit the striped cardigan twice before? Why would this time be any different? And to that, I have to say, friend, one thing about me is I'm not a quitter. I haven't casted on anything new in like weeks at this point. I had knitting fatigue, some type of mental block that literally I was just like kind of not even interested in knitting, to be honest, for like the last couple of weeks. But I think I've gotten over that. Most of the yarn that I have are literally just like lone skeins. I don't have enough of any color to make like a solid color project. And so I was like, okay, what dash buster project can I make? What scrappy project can I make? And I was like, the striped cardigan. I have tried to make this cardigan twice before. They were major fails. And so we're gonna try it again. I've had these in my collection for ever. There was a time that I literally only bought yarn just because I thought it was pretty, and I didn't take into account, you know, like, is this going to be a color I would actually wear? So many of these skeins are nearly fresh, but I think that's a good thing because I don't want to buy new yarn. I went through and I picked out all of the colors that I thought would go together, that I thought were really cute, but you know, it's like, I'm trying to think, why did I buy this yarn? On the site, it was really pretty. I feel like in person though, I don't know, these colors, they kind of, what's the word? They look just a little tiny bit muddy. So I'm hoping when I add them to the other colors, everything comes out really cute. But this is my Malabrisia. This one, this one, this one are all Cascade 220s. I think most of the yarn here is Cascade 220, but look how cute this hot pink color is. I definitely bought this color just because of how vibrant this pink is, and I think it's really pretty. It's similar to this other pink, which is also a Malabrisia. You kind of get the vision. What was my issue with this one? Why haven't I used this one? I feel like the white is very like, usually when I use like a white or cream, it's more cream beige-ish, but this one I feel like it's like nearly just a white color. So I feel like it'll be nice in contrast with this cardigan. And then this purple shade. I love this purple shade. Actually, I'm really excited to use this purple shade. These two right here are also Cascade 220s. I used this when I was writing the bandwidth bonnet pattern, and you know what, it's summer and I love this gray color. I feel like it would be perfect in this little mix. So I'm gonna frog the bonnet, and then this light purple color, which I think is so pretty. These two balls left over of my Noro, the one that I used to make my basic open knit. I love this yarn so much. It's like light gray, dark gray. There's little hints of green. The hot pink shade is almost similar to this one. So these are both my Barocco Ultra wools. I do have like 3 or 4 more fresh skeins of this burgundy. I bought it when I made my cardigan number 9 by My Favorite Things Knitwear, and I did the calculations wrong and ended up buying too much yarn. Can you kind of see the vision, friend? You see the vibe that I'm going for? The only thing is that they are not all the same thickness of yarn. So all of them are weight 4 Aran weight yarn, but the thickness is like, I feel like this is going to be slightly experimental. I do have, you know, just a general idea of which colors I want to pair together. The pattern does separate them, like color A, color B. Color A is supposed to be the darker shade. So all of these right here are going to be my color A yarns. Color B, the lighter colors, are going to be, you know, this white, the gray, and then this lighter purple. I'm like trying to think. I do have that like lighter Malabrisia yarn that I've frogged 8 billion times from all of my projects. I'm like debating on if I should use that. Now that I have all my yarns together, I feel like I don't have as many color B, like the lighter colors, as I have color A. Friend, what should I do? Should I use it? Okay, wait, let me go get it. I want to say the color name is like whole grain or something. I've literally had this yarn for maybe 2 years at this point, 2 or 3 years, and I love it so much. I always frog it off of the projects that I don't use. I'm kind of in the era where it's like I don't want to save my yarn anymore. In my head, I'm always like, okay, I'm gonna save it for, you know, like something special, whatever that means. I'm trying to get my stash down real low. So I think actually, you know what? We're gonna add this to the pile just to give it a little bit of dimension. I'm very excited about this project actually. My first 2 cardigans were a fail, but third time is the charm. I don't know what color I should start with though. I'm thinking maybe this one, this purple. Should I do this purple and then kind of like this, what color is this? Sandy gray. I'm thinking maybe these two. I'm gonna cast on, do maybe like 2 or 3 rows. I just want to get a little bit of momentum going. I feel like the worst part of a knit is casting it on. I never like casting it on, and in the instructions I have to also do stitch markers. I don't think I've ever made anything in this color scheme. I'm more of a warm tone gal. I love my browns and my oranges and my red, but I think this will be fun and it'll be something different. Let's cast this on. Very excited for this project, and then I'll be back.
Stitches right now, and I'll show you on the screen where to put your stitch markers.
So I've done about, how many rows have I done? 4, 6, like 8-ish rows. I have 2 more before I do the first buttonhole. I'm thinking, like, as I'm knitting, what kind of buttons that I want to do. I'm either gonna do like really cool brown wood buttons, or maybe like a mismatch button situation. I'm liking these two together, this purple and the brown gray. I think they look really good together. I have wanted to make this cardigan literally since the pattern came out. I thought it was so cute. Maybe like last summer, I think this pattern came out. My first attempt at it, I ended up frogging that one because I hated the colors. I remember using, like, goodness, off the top of my head, I don't even know what colors I used. Maybe like some type of orange. I do remember just thinking like it feels too fall-y, too fall-ish. I do love my warm tones, but the first attempt of the cardigan, I hated the colors, and that's why I frogged it. I didn't even get that far, honestly. Am I the only person that can't knit and talk at the same time? I feel like so often in my videos, I'm like, okay, like I'm gonna knit and explain whatever I'm trying to talk about, you know, to make the video more dynamic. And it literally either turns into just a giant yap session, or I'm so concentrated on my knitting. I'm like, girl, what are you even talking about? And then my second attempt, I actually really loved the colors. They weren't colors that I would wear. That's my entire wardrobe: neutrals, black, white, and then like I'll throw in an olive here and there. My second attempt at the cardigan, even though they weren't like, you know, colors that I would wear, I loved the colors together. And I ended up frogging that one just because like I ran out of the yarn. And I thought about, you know, just for a little bit, like, oh, maybe I'll just buy more yarn for this cardigan, but it's advertised as a stash buster, you know, like use the yarn that you have. And I think if I wanted one maybe in like a really specific color combo, I would buy some yarn. But friend, I have so much yarn. Like every few years I'm going through a yarn declutter, and somehow I end up with so much yarn. I didn't want to buy more yarn for a stash buster cardigan. You feel me? Like if I were to buy cardigan yarn, then it would be like all one color for like a really specific pattern that I'm trying to make. I was running out of yarn. Also, I had made it just a little bit too small. Like the original design of the cardigan, the waist is cinched. I said I was gonna make the medium size, and then I had made the small size, and I tried it on and I was like, oh, it fits, you know, like good enough. I'm just gonna make the small size, save myself some time. I didn't take into account the fact that when you do the cinched waist, it makes the cardigan smaller. On top of me already knowing that it wasn't going to fit with the cinched waist part, and I had like kept messing up on the sleeves and a million other things. After a while I was like, you know what, I give up. I have a lot more hope for this one, just because, you know, since I've already tried to make this so many times before, I kind of know where I went wrong and now what I plan to do differently. So for starters, I am going to make the medium size. Yes, I am going to make the medium size. This is going to be the last row before we do the first buttonhole. And look at these colors together. I'm feeling like a little bit of a peanut butter jelly vibe with this dark purple and this tannish color. I think the thing that I'm most excited about, honestly, for this cardigan is seeing all of the colors come together. These yarns have been in my stash. I'm trying to think what's like the newest yarn in my stash. The newest yarn in my stash might be like my full cascades, just because I bought these when I was making my bonnet pattern, so that was almost a year ago. And then all of the rest of the yarns I've literally had in my stash for a couple of years at this point, and every time I go into it I'm like, oh, these colors are pretty, but what am I supposed to do with them? I haven't really knit, honestly. If I'm gonna be honest, this is like my first time sitting down and really knitting in a minute. I've been working on my Mew top on and off. Mainly I just work on it when I'm out in public. Like when I went to Yarn Club, I was working on it. At the laundromat, I'll work on it just a little bit, but just being at home, having a knitting session. I haven't done that in a really long time, mainly because I don't have, you know, like I didn't have anything new that I casted on. And then also I kind of was taking a break. I was experiencing knitting fatigue, and so I had taken a break, but friend, we are back and we are better and we are making something that we are excited about. The only thing that I don't really care for about knitting a cardigan, but let alone a cardigan with like 10 different colors, is that this isn't really a portable project. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like even my other past attempts at the striped cardigan, I think maybe I took it out in public a couple times to, you know, like take some videos and take some pictures, but traditionally, really big pieces or pieces where I'm using like a bunch of different colors of yarn, I like to keep them at home. Like it's already kind of a hassle, you know, with all of the different yarns, and so it's like I don't want to be out in public and my balls start flying everywhere and rolling everywhere and getting dirty, and then it's kind of hard, you know, to keep track of the colors. But this is what we have so far. Super cute. And now we're gonna work on the first buttonhole. Also, what I really like about this cardigan are the increases. They're lifted increases. This was my first time ever even hearing of a lifted increase, and I can say it is so much easier to do a lifted increase than it is to do the make one left, make one right. I swear it does not matter how many times I do a make one left, make one right. I can never remember which is which. Like, I'll write down the notes in my notebook and do an entire project of make one left, make one right, and still have to look down at my notes every single time. I'm gonna be honest though, friend, I am not keeping track of the stitches. I am just hoping that I'm doing everything right and that the stitch count will not be off in the end. I think because this is my third attempt and I've already, you know, suffered and struggled with the previous attempts, this one, you know, we're just knitting. We're knitting, we're doing our best, we're going with the vibes. I will say, I think my second attempt, I kept like kind of being in my head about it. A lot of my mistakes, I think, came from just me overthinking and like me trying to make something that's not complicated. Kind of story of my life, I guess, but this one, we're just knitting. We're knitting, we're enjoying the vibes, and it's like if something is off, if something goes wrong, I'm just gonna act like I don't see it. So we're at the end of the row and now we add the buttonhole. I gotta look at the notes, I have no idea. I'm gonna close my laptop just because she's already breathing hard AF. I feel like my previous attempts at the cardigan, I kind of just, you know, like switched the color whenever the mood felt right. And I think that was part of the reason why, you know, I kind of got to a point where I was like, oh, I don't know if I like this. This one, I'm going to try to be slightly, very slightly more intentional on where I place the colors. I think the next color that I'm going to use is probably going to be this one. But I'm going to do one more stripe. So it's going to be 4 of the dark color and then I'll switch it. Maybe we'll come back when we change the color. I think that'll be fun. We'll come back when we change the color. I have to do this row and then purl it and then do 2 rows of the lighter color. And then we'll be right back so I can change the colors. This ball is probably like 5 million itty bitty strands of yarn. When I frog my projects, even if the yarn is cut, I just make them one giant ball. So I never know when it's really gonna run out, but we're at the end of this row and then we're gonna switch the color. I'm really excited about this part just because I wanna see how the colors are gonna look together. So we're using this one right here, the Malabrigo yarn. I have never, ever, ever used this yarn. It is literally a fresh skein. Friend, let me know, are you a center pull person or are you an outer pull person? I like the center pull just because I feel like when you pull the yarn, it is smoother and it's easier than having to, you know, pull it around. But I've found that the closer that you get to the center, like the more yarn that you use, is it called the skein, the cake? It collapses. And I feel like that's when your yarn has a tendency to get tangled up. Yarn getting tangled up is like, oh my God. I'd be so irritated actually. Okay, so I don't know what this thing is doing right here, There's like all these little pieces. I'm gonna be honest, I do not even remember the last time I did an increase. I low-key feel like for the last color, I like didn't even do an increase at all. Like I don't even remember doing an increase. Honestly, like I said, we are not gonna overthink this. I'm definitely not gonna go back and frog an entire row. That is insane. So we're just going to make sure that we don't miss any more increases. You see why this is my third attempt. We're just going to continue forward. If I missed the increase, oops. Hopefully at the end, you know, everything ends up working out. I love variegated yarn, honestly. There was a time where I wouldn't even knit with solid colors. Like I only had variegated yarn and variegated projects. I just love watching the colors work up. It feels like a really pleasant surprise, especially since so much of knitting is like, you know, like you're doing the same motions, the same movements. It can feel tedious at times. I think having variegated yarn and seeing like the colors change, it helps to break up some of the monotony that comes with knitting, especially like if you're working on a really big project. I think knitting with the same color sometimes gets a little bit tiring. That triggers my knitting fatigue for sure. Knitting with the same color, low key, that might be like my issue with the Mew top. That's like one of the projects where I'm genuinely just excited to have the finished product, because the process of having to knit it is like not really fun. Friend, I be getting tired and like a little bit bored, but I've made so much progress. It's like I can't quit, and it is something that, you know, I want to finish, but I don't know. I'm just like, oh, can I knit something fun? Can I make something fun? So I feel like this is a nice like break from that for sure. Just in this row, the color went from blue and then like a little bit of purple, and then it's back at a deeper shade of blue. This is actually such a beautiful yarn. I was first starting off knitting and I had no idea, you know, like what I wanted to make or what yarns I would use with what. Genuinely, I would just go online, and if the yarn was pretty, I would buy it. I don't do that anymore, you know. I'm more mindful with how I spend my money these days, but literally, like, if I thought the colors were cute, that's all we needed. That's all that needed to happen for me to put add to cart, check out, wait the 3 to 5 business days for real. But this color actually is beautiful. Friend, can you see the blue? My knitting cable is also blue, so I don't know. I don't know if it's coming up, but I think it matches really beautifully with this purple yarn as well. These two. I'm going to keep this beige color in just a little bit, probably until the next buttonhole. I'm probably not going to change the color until the next buttonhole, which is going to be, let's see, maybe in like 8 more rows. I think when I switch this color, depending on what the variegation is looking like, I might switch both of them. I don't know what I'm going to switch to though. I think I'm going to do 4 more rows and then I'm going to have to go to sleep, friend. It's getting really late and I have to go to work tomorrow, but I'm really excited about this. I am really excited about this. Third time is a charm. I am actually so in love with the way that this blue is coming out. I feel like when you look at the skein, what's like the predominant color? Blue, yeah? Not purple, it's blue, right? I feel like as it's knitting up, it is predominantly blue, but it looks really good with this purple, like the purple tones in the yarn. But I was gonna knit 8 more rows, but low-key, this might be my last row. At least for tonight, this might be my last row. I'm looking at this hot pink color right here out the corner of my eye as I'm knitting this. I wonder if this color is gonna be too bold. Is it gonna be too much? I think I messed up on the end. I think I got the pearls and the knit stitches wrong. Wait, let me see. Friend, what's going on? Yeah, I messed up. I switched up the knits and I switched up the pearls. Okay, I am gonna go back and fix that just because this is a small mistake. I hate having to go back and fix my mistakes. I'm gonna be honest with you. I hate it. I literally hate it. I don't even know where to fix it. I messed up the knits and the pearls, but it's like I don't want to really frog the rows back because I'm scared I'm gonna like drop a stitch or something. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hopefully it's not too noticeable in the end mistake. I guess if it's just one row where I messed up on, in the grand scheme of things, you won't be able to tell too much. It does look kind of weird though, I'm not gonna lie. Especially comparing it to the other side that I didn't mess up on. But it's like, I feel like if I go back and I fix it, I'm gonna low-key make it worse. Should I just leave it? And I'm getting like tangled up, jeez. Okay, we're not even that far into the cardigan and I'm already messing up. Okay, I have one more to try to fix. What even happened? Maybe I spaced out or something. Like I'm messing up on the easy part. What about when we get to the hard part? Did I make it worse? Okay, I'm like literally over this. I think it looks a little bit better. It was kind of looking like a hot mess. Friend, I'm gonna be honest, I'm over this. I'm over it. I want to eat my food and take my walk and go to sleep. But this is what we have. This is what we've done so far. I think this is pretty good progress actually. And I can see kind of how the Malabrigo yarn is working up. So this is the newest cast on, the loopy striped cardigan. Third time is a charm. I am not going to stress myself out too much. You can already see we're only what? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 8, less than 20 rows in, and I'm making crazy mistakes, but you know what, it is what it is. I'm gonna try to, what am I trying to say? Focus? Concentrate? I guess, girl, I guess, maybe. I'm going to do my best. And whatever ends up happening is what ends up happening. But I'm very excited to see these colors come together. This is not going to be the last time that we see our girl stripe cardigan. I've been kind of on an Instagram break just because, oh, friend, you know I don't like Instagram. But I will be posting some pictures on there the more that I work on it. This color scheme is actually to die for. And so I'm going to make sure I finish it just because I want to see how everything looks in the end. But yes, this is our third attempt at the loopy striped cardigan. We are putting good energy, good vibes into this make because she will be finished come hell or high water. But I think we're off to a decent start. Considering, I think we're off to a decent start. So I don't know. I was going to say I'll try to update it in Ravelry, but low-key every video I'm like, oh, I'm gonna update it in Ravelry, and I haven't logged on to Ravelry in a few weeks, I'm gonna be honest. So maybe I will, maybe I won't, but it'll definitely be on stories and in another video, perhaps, possibly. Let me know what you think of my color combo. Is it a slay? Is this something that you would knit with yourself? I'm very curious to know. I really love these colors. Maybe not something that I would wear, but for the sake of stash busting, I have no complaints. Yes, thank you so much for spending time with me, friend, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.